Going to the amusement park is an essential part of any childhood. Going on rides, eating junk food, creating memories. No other fun thing could possibly top that. But there's something you need to be reminded of, and it's that safety first should always be the priority. And not just for you, but for employees too. Unfortunately, not every trip to an amusement park ends all happy. Sometimes people get hurt. It's truly shocking to see someone go through life-threatening injuries, and those experiences can drastically change people's lives. Now, I don't mean to scare any of you, but you need to know that these incidents do happen. And if you're with me, join me on this countdown of tragic accidents at amusement parks. Action Park was a water-based amusement park located in Vermont Township, New Jersey. Opened on May 26, 1978, it was under ownership of the Great American Recreation. Action Park would be considered America's most dangerous water park ever, as through its 20-year span there have been a total of 6 deaths from its opening to its closure, most of it due to its lack of restrictions and lazy construction. In fact, the most dangerous part of it all was the tide pool, a large pool that gave you big waves to simulate the feeling of being at sea. The tide pool would unfortunately take the lives of 3 people due to drowning. The entire park had 3 zones: the Alpine Center, Motor World, and Water World. All 3 of these attractions would have their fair share of risks. The Alpine slide was made of concrete and fiberglass. 26 injuries would be reported on that slide. People who would go on the slide would go on these go-kart-like contraptions, but most of the time they would either be sort of broken or really broken. Most of the carts didn't even have brake mechanisms to slow down, so if you were going too fast, you would surely get yourself injured. Something else to mention is that the park didn't really have adult employees. Most of them were teenagers not even pushing 18 years old. This would be a factor for most injuries at the park because there just wasn't any supervision by adults. The end result of Action Park would be a forced closure in 1996. As the owner of the park was piling up $48 million in lawsuit and indictments for fraud. The park would reopen in 1998 under a new name, Mountain Creek Water Park, which is still open today. Located in Manson, Ohio, Kings Island is your regular run-of-the-mill amusement park. However, one day, Kings Island would face a dark day. One day, a man mistakenly lost his footing and fell into a lake. 2 men saw the man fall and jumped directly into the lake to try and save him. But this would cost them dearly, as both of the men got electrocuted by hanging wires. Miraculously, the man who fell into the lake came out alive. But here's the kicker. Just an hour after this incident, something else happened. A woman by the name of Candy Taylor was riding the Flight Commander. The Flight Commander ride had some rotations to it, so according to eyewitness, Candy Taylor was alright during the first rotation, but during the second, she was clinging on for dear life. At the speed she was going, she couldn't hold on for long, so inevitably she flew 30 to 40 feet away from the ride, ultimately losing her life. Apparently the staff in charge of the ride had to let 2 people on per ride, but they just let Candy go on her own. Incredibly eerie and disturbing to say the least that 3 fatalities took place at the same park within hours of each other. Teenager Asia Ferguson would make a terrible mistake on June 28, 2008. He scaled 2 fences and entered a restricted area for the Batman ride at Six Flags. The reason for him doing this is actually unknown. By now, it was far too late for him to make an exit, because the Batman ride was coming full speed ahead, and he had no time to react. It was coming so fast towards him that it actually decapitated him entirely. This horrible incident made nationwide news. As I said before, it was unsure why Ferguson went into the restricted area, but some people have said it was because his hat flew into the restricted area and he was trying to retrieve it. Others say he just wanted to touch the coaster as it was going by. However, this doesn't seem to matter, because let's look back at how he got in there. He had to scale 2 fairly large fences, and those fences were in fact 6 feet tall. And on those fences had signs on them that said, "Keep out, trespassers will be prosecuted." So it stands to reason that Asia deliberately ignored the signs and went in further anyway. Unfortunately, Asia Ferguson wasn't the first to die this way. Back in May 2002, a groundskeeper by the name of Samuel Milton Guyton died in the exact same way by decapitation. After police investigations were concluded and officials deciding if the ride was safe or not, the Batman ride at Six Flags remains operational today, and little was done to do anything about the restricted area to become more secure. This little boy, Joshua Smurfett, loved roller coasters. He jumped for joy whenever he got to visit his local amusement park. And in 1999, Joshua and his family went back to the park for more fun. Sadly though, this would be Joshua's last day. Joshua wanted to go on the drop zone stunt tower. He wanted to go on with his mother, but when it was their turn, there were an odd number of seats left. Joshua's mother made the decision to let his son go on with a family friend first, and she'll go on after. Coincidentally, the staff operating the ride told everyone that this would be the last go-around. When Joshua and the family friend were going up, Joshua's fate was sealed. Joshua was ejected from his seat and ended up falling a frightening height. Joshua's mother was in absolute terror and shock when she saw her son falling from such a scary height. Her adrenaline kicked in and ran towards the gate to see if she could catch her son. Details about after the fall is just too gruesome to mention here on YouTube, so I'm gonna tell you what the mother said. When the ride was on its way down, my son flew out of the seat. I screamed and ran towards the exit gate, hoping that I could catch him. Joshua was falling at a speed of 60 miles per hour, landing in front of horrified bystanders. When the police was conducting their investigation, it was found out that the operators of the ride were teenagers, specifically 14 years old, which is not the legal age to be a ride operator. Also, when they were in charge of putting Joshua in his seat securely, they did not do a good job. After this unsightly incident, the drop zone tower got additional harnesses. To date, not a single incident has been reported. Born August 17, 2007, Tyree Sampson was a rising star in his middle school football team. He was accepted by all his classmates, and he was also academically inclined. He was the type of person you would want to be friends with. At just the age of 14, he was 6'5" and 383 pounds. Why mention his weight? It's going to be important as I go on. Tyree was on spring break on March 25, 2022, and he was visiting family in Florida. The family decided to go to Icon Park, located in Orlando, Florida. Tyree's mother explained that day he was very excited to go, then went on to say that Tyree told her, "I'll see you on Saturday or Sunday." This would be the last time he would see his mother. The Samsung family would explain that on many rides, the operators wouldn't let Tyree on due to his height and build. And it was getting late, so they decided to hop on one last ride before calling it a night. That last ride was the freefall. The freefall had a drop of 430 feet, making it the world's tallest freestanding drop tower. Just before going up, Tyree had his picture taken on his seat. In the picture, you could see the harness is over Tyree's shoulder, but it doesn't look like it's been fastened properly. Tyree even expressed concern about the harness, telling people what's going on. By this time, the ride was beginning to go up into the sky, and what would happen next is the furthest thing from fun. Just 10 minutes into the ride, Tyree was dislodged from his seat, plummeting 200 feet down into the concrete floor. By the time emergency services would reach Tyree, he was already pronounced dead. As police investigated, they found out that the weight limit requirement for the freefall ride was 286 pounds. Tyree was well over that limit. That begs the burning question: why was he allowed to ride? And why didn't staff not notice? The Sampson family went on to file a lawsuit against the park, the ride operators, and the ride manufacturers for negligence. As of March of this year, the family has reached a settlement, but it is not disclosed to the public. To conclude, I just want to say rest in peace to all who passed away, and to the families, I hope they could find peace. If you like this video, comment below if you're going to your local amusement park, and always remember, safety first and trust your gut. It may save your life.